Well, it is one for the ages, folks. A blizzard of historic proportions slams the East Coast and completely shuts down the city that never sleeps. Starting on Monday night, before any snow hit the ground, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio announced that all streets would be closed in advance. But on Tuesday morning, still snow hadn't hit the Big Apple, at least not the kind of snow that meteorologists had predicted. All of the snow that should have hit New York must have skipped that stop and dumped it all over Boston. That city shut down entirely. The weather patterns moving along the East Coast look a lot like a hurricane, but the effects are much more like an avalanche. Snow reaching up to 36 inches in many places, forcing people off of the roads and blockading them inside of their homes. Tens of thousands of people without power in their homes in all 6 different states declared this massive snowfall a state of emergency. And now the aftermath. You might be watching from somewhere very warm, but this winter storm could impact your area as well. Nearly 1/3 of the air travel in this country passes through the New York or Boston area at one point or another. And get this, over 7,000 flights have already been canceled. Several thousand more flights delayed and pushed back. This could have travel implications reaching well into next week. New York LaGuardia warned travelers that they could be shut down for at least 2 days. We also received word from Amtrak. They suspended all activity in the Northeast. Everything from Boston to New York shut down for the snowstorm. In other news, it might have been a day off for many people in New York, but not for the FBI. Federal officials arrest 3 Russian citizens accused of spying on a direct mission from the Kremlin. One of the men worked undercover as a banker in New York City. Evgeny Boryakov is accused of seeking out sensitive information in the stock markets that could trigger a massive economic meltdown here in the United States. It sounds very much like a story from the Cold War, but we're not able to independently verify any of these accusations. We're only hearing from the FBI on this one, and they believe that they've busted up a Russian spy ring before it carried out any attacks on Wall Street. Of course, Moscow is denying any involvement, and as we've reported several times over the last year, the relationship between Moscow and Washington is already on thin ice. Moving now to the land bridge between the U.S. and Russia, which is Alaska, what many consider the last frontier. It is now in the spotlight as President Obama looks to seize millions of acres of the frozen wilderness. The president says that he's claiming this land as a wilderness territory to protect and conserve wildlife. But Senator Lisa Murkowski says it's a direct attack on the U.S. economy. This is a very oil-rich area and one that has allowed Alaska to produce tons of oil over the years. Murkowski is not just a senator from Alaska, but she is also the new chair of the Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee. Her entire career in Washington could be defined by this battle. She said, "I cannot understand why this administration is willing to negotiate with Iran, but not Alaska. We will not be run over like this. We will fight back with every resource at our disposal." To be clear, only Congress can enact a wilderness territory, but the president can designate an area for future assignment. Even though the president's demands don't carry the same power as Congress, they do place a severe stranglehold on that area, and especially the ability to produce oil. The Secret Service called into question once again, and updating you on a story that we first reported on Monday, and now we know for sure it was an unmanned aircraft that landed inside the White House premises. The small drone crashed right onto the grounds of the South Lawn at 3 a.m. Secret Service agents immediately evacuated the building and began investigating, but later ruled the drone as harmless. Later that afternoon, Secret Service officials said a man reached out to them and said that the drone was his. According to the report, the man said he was only testing the device to see how it would perform in bad weather, and he lost control of it. We already know that the FAA will be pushing hard for new legislation to control drones in Congress this year, and this incident only serves to help their cause. Well, while you were asleep last night, so was Facebook. Both the social network and its Instagram site were on the fritz for about an hour. They're back on now, just in time for all of your daily selfies. Hacker group Lizard Squad tried to take credit for the outage, but Facebook says it was caused by an internal system failure and not by hackers. Whatever the source, this couldn't come at a worse time for the social media company. Executives meet investors and announce their quarterly earnings report on Wednesday. Well, it takes a lot of courage to admit when you are wrong, especially when your mistake puts a person in jail. But last year, we saw that happen more times than any other year on record. In 125 cases around the country, judges exonerated prisoners from jail for crimes that they did not commit. And believe it or not, in most of the cases, law enforcement agencies and police departments are the ones who prompted the new investigation and altered the Justice Department. A DA from Brooklyn said people are coming to the understanding that wrongful convictions are not only destroying the lives of people who have been wrongly punished, but they are also undermining the integrity of the criminal justice system. While the justice system still has its faults, admitting those shortcomings is the first step toward change in the right direction.